that jog off screen, the last we see of him, looks a little funny. Like in my mind, he went from like fur-covered alien bounty hunter to like guy in a costume. Like, oh man, this thing is hard to run in. Hail, Internet! It's Paul. It's Matt. The Dork Lords. We are here talking about the Book of Boba Fett, Season 1, Episode 3, The Streets of Mos Espa. We open with Boba in his palace, learning about the gangs and territories of Mos Espa. A watermonger, played by the red stapler guy from Office Space, shows up to complain about a gang of cyborgs stealing his water.
Yeah.
I also like how he's insulting them for their cybernetic parts in front of Fennec. He probably doesn't realize, but anyway, I'm like, you're ixnay on the insults. Anyway, we end with Boba announcing that he's going to war with the Pike Syndicate. Yeah. They've got an army. He's got like 8 guys, so it looks like a mismatch at the moment. Yeah. But that's what the series is. Anyway, so Paul, before we launch into other stuff, what did you think of Episode 3?
I liked it. I enjoyed it. I liked that it's learning about his experience with the Tusken Raiders there, and also even though their size of the group is rather small, at least they got a little larger this time. And the fact that he's still he's still got something to prove to the town shows it's reasonable considering all that we've seen. So I very much enjoyed it. With the exception being like, I think they did the best they could with that land speeder chase.
Oh.
They
played it for laughs, right? Because it was like they just kept running into everything in town.
Yes,
I was waiting for like 2 guys to walk with a giant pane of glass.
Yes.
They ran into a painting.
Yes. And they should have had a parade, that they could
right.
Go
yeah,
through.
Exactly. Oh no! Oh, this parade will never get. It was just too slow.
Yeah.
To be compelling.
Exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, all right, it's silly. Yeah, the gang is interesting. So they're kind of, I would say, teens, right?
They could be young adults,
street urchins. Although, how do you keep your speeder bike that shiny in this desert environment? Yeah. But good on you,
I would have preferred more muted colors there. This is like neon colors. It's sort of like
doesn't really match the Tatooine.
I don't feel the aesthetic of even the show.
You know why they've got those colors, Paul? Because they come from the neighboring town of Mos Vespa. Waka waka! Try the meatloaf. I'm here all night. Okay. Anyway, yep. That's where they're from. We start off with this conflict, and then Boba quickly assesses that the reason they're being jerks is that they're unemployed. They're in the working sector and they don't have a job. He's like, you know what? I'll pay you. Come work for me. And so he resolves it without killing them.
Yes.
Which again, we're seeing his attempt to not always use violence for every situation.
Yeah, I wonder exactly how much Lortha Peel will reduce his prices. It's like, I've reduced them 1%.
Right, yeah, good point. Yeah. Yeah, we do see that there's this constant thing of like, nobody really respects Boba at this point.
Yes.
He's got to earn this respect, and so it's kind of a step-by-step thing.
Yeah, maybe if Boba did stand-up routine. I tell you, Ronnie.
Right, speaking of Waka Waka.
Yeah.
He gets back in the bacta tank, and he has another flashback. We see another flashback to Kamino with him, Actually, I think it was commenter Dale Pride. Dale had a good point from last episode where he was.
Hi, Dale.
We saw some flashbacks to Kamino, where basically the idea that, if you think back to his childhood as this clone kid on Kamino, he didn't have a community there.
Yeah.
And so he was basically a loner all his life until he got I think you could say the Tusken tribe was probably his first legit community, and now this episode, bang, and they're gone. Anyway, it was just an interesting parallel. This guy's always been a loner, even as a kid, not by choice, in other words.
Sure.
And so, it was a good point that he had finally found a family Like, oh, okay, all right. So the flashback is he goes to collect the first toll from the Pike Syndicate. They're like, well, there's another group trying to get a toll. We're not going to pay 2 of you, so sort it out. He goes back to camp, and everyone's dead. Yes. We know for a fact the chieftain is dead because we see him lying on the ground. We don't see, like, for instance, his wife, the one who taught Boba stick fighting. We don't see her body. Possibly she or somebody may have survived, although you think they would have gone down with a ship kind of thing, but could have been taken as a slave or something. Who knows? So it's possible, but I think more likely, and because we only got 4 episodes left, they're probably gone. It's probably Tuscans. That this phase of his life ended. We were wondering, why does he leave the Tuscans?
Yes,
they did. They left him.
Yeah. Well, there are certainly more Tuscans on the planet. I mean, it'd be fortunate if he didn't forge a relationship with other Tuscans. If he doesn't get the help from the Tuscans, though, then I'm very curious how he's going to fend these people off.
This is obviously not. This is several years later, but it occurred to me that perhaps because another situation in which a whole bunch of Tuscans got killed off was back in the day when Anakin, went off on them because they killed his mom.
Sure.
And so I just wondered if maybe there was like some kind of a legend, maybe amongst the Tuscans. There was like that time when guy with lightsaber showed up and killed everyone in sight. It might be interesting if that was like a lingering lore kind of thing. Anyway, but I don't buy it that the biker gang killed off the Tuscans there, the gang that with their tag. I feel like it's the Pikes. And they just, because the only physical evidence of anybody other than Tuscans in that site is this little painting, little spray paint. Oh, look, it's a sign. Like there's no dead bikers there. Like everything has been stripped out, but there's just this little sign. I feel like the Pikes didn't want to pay. I'm not sure why they let Boba live. Maybe they're like, oh, he's their best fighter, so we'll just wait till he's out of the camp.
I guess maybe, or they're just like, we don't, if anybody's not here, we don't care. We'll just leave.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, I feel like the Pikes probably did it and just tried to blame the biker by just spray painting the biker logo on it. But maybe not. Maybe it may not even matter. In some ways, but I think it probably does.
I'm not sure of the timeline, but. It's certainly interesting the fact that we got the bikers that are tagging everything, and the the Pikes are coming in. One thing we see in these trailers that we haven't seen yet is the powwow that
the big table
Boba
scene,
has, with different. Presumably, the Pikes were sitting at that table. So, if you're going to get together powers of a planet or an area, you would think, you would say, okay, the Pikes are coming, how you want to deal with that?
Yeah, so maybe that's it. Maybe it's just like, common enemy. Here, let's all group together, and that's the way he unifies folks.
It is certainly dramatically strange that you have these two different forces. The, the biker gang and then the Pikes. So if they're not... aligned, then it's interesting that okay, let's get rid of these Pikes, and now what are we gonna do? With the biker gang, unless they like, you gonna join us too, biker gang? You can tag these Pike ships as two instead of our places.
The Hutts, the twins, show up, and they're basically like, we're leaving. We leave this to you because this area wasn't promised to us after all, and we're not involved. Now, whether they actually are getting out or not is up to be seen. But I kind of believe at this moment that they're getting. I think what the show is trying to say is, these Pikes mean business. Even the Hutts don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's interesting that they felt obliged to, like, okay, you have the bounty hunter that we paid to kill you. We're sorry about that. And, hey, here's a tribute on our way out the door. I was like, what? I wouldn't feel obliged to give anybody anything. Unless it's sort of like, is this a bum beast?
Did they plant a bomb in him? One possible thought would be that maybe Danny Trejo as the trainer is a spy for the Hutts, maybe, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to go that far or not. But
I wouldn't think, but
it was
it's possible, I guess.
I think the ultimate purpose, because as soon as I saw the Rancor, and it's because earlier in the episode we see Boba riding a Bantha, and so as soon as I saw the Rancor, I'm like, oh, I bet he's going to ride it. And then, sure enough, as the conversation goes on, it's obvious that's what he wants to do. So by the end of this season, he's going to be riding a Rancor.
It's like, don't interrupt me. I have to reveal my true intentions so Matt can't theorize about what I want. I'm going to actually say it.
That's right. Yeah, I didn't have to theorize. No theories necessary.
Yeah.
I want to ride that. Great. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I mean, you got the idea that it's like, open the eyes and then, oh, well, he's dead. So anyway, this felt like it was a little bit forced way to get him a Rancor that he can ride, basically. How do we do that? Hutts gave it to him. Okay, move on. We learn a little bit more about Rancors. I'm cool with the idea that they're not just brutal monsters, that they're animals, and have animal behaviors. Sure. Although that said, if that's the case, then don't just leave him in a pit. I don't think. Although he's going to ride the Rancor, get ready. Rancor's going to get some outdoor time.
Maybe he has to take him for walks or something. Yep.
I think Mos Espa is going to have this Rancor just like. I'm looking forward to that. Danny Trejo did name drop Dathomir, which is the planet. Well, a lot of things. Extended lore comes from there, but notably to me, Darth Maul. That's his home planet.
Sure.
And Darth Maul, in the time of at least Solo, was a crime lord as well. Obviously, this flashback to all of his people dying, in a way, because of him. I mean, he has to feel guilt for that. I'm not saying, he's a terrible person, but I bet you Boba must feel like, they got killed because I stole these bikes, and then I had them go attack this train, and then in retaliation, everyone dies.
I guess, I don't know, but the reason why he stole the bikes was because they were being attacked, so, it's not like they were living
Well, they were losing a few at a time. So, do you want to lose everyone at once? Or like 2 per week? So, anyway. But I don't know. I would think perhaps he might have a sense of guilt about that.
He might, sure. The only family he ever knew.
The only family he ever knew. So he wakes up somewhat involuntarily in the Bacta tank when Black Chrysanthemum shows up and wrestles him out of the tank. I'm like, come on, you got to guard that tank, baby. You're just like completely vulnerable in there.
Yeah.
But also it made me think like, dude, 1 pistol shot. But he's like, no, I'm going to wake him up and wrestle. All right, fine. So, because he has a gun when we saw him in the previous episode. He's walking around with this big rifle.
Yes.
So it's not like I'm opposed to missile weapons. Like, pew, done. So they fight. The kids show up, and the Gamorreans show up, and they manage to trap the gladiator down in the Rancor pit.
Yes.
And to Boba's credit, he's good to his employees. He's right with the Gamorrean. He's like, get him into my Bacta tank. Yeah, I'll check him out. All right, nicely, communal Bacta tank. So you wash that out.
Yeah, and that's when he sets him free. He doesn't keep him there, and I mean, it'd be unfortunate if that's the last we see of. I don't think it's the last we see of the Black Chrysanthemum. But I think they're trying to set up more of a story for him, perhaps, when he decides to join Boba.
I think you're right. Boba just made a lot of goodwill with this guy. Like, oh, okay. When he didn't have to be nice, he was nice.
Yeah.
Got it. So, although I will say this, that jog off screen, the last we see of him, looks a little funny. Like in my mind, he went from like fur-covered alien bounty hunter to like guy in a costume. Like, oh man, this thing is hard to run in. I feel like he'll be back and he'll be fighting on Boba's behalf.
Perhaps sand planets are not native for Wookiees.
That's right. For Wookiees. Like, it gets in my fur.
It's like, if there was just a tree around here, I'd be going to town.
Great. And Boba's like, I took the branch from the only tree. Sorry. There's a parallel, right, in the story behind the Rancor and Boba, right? So I feel like Boba maybe sees kinship in that Boba is perceived as fighter guy. I was bred to fight.
Sure.
But underneath, he's a person with feelings and has a depth. Same thing with the Rancor. Oh, Rancor's a monster, kills everybody. Well, no, they're trained that way. But anyway, so he probably sees a little kinship to the Rancor.
Sure.
I'm hoping the Rancor gets a name. If he's going to ride it, I feel like you got to give the Rancor a name.
I would assume, yeah.
Don't just call it Rancor.
No, definitely don't do that.
So obviously a lot of, potential theories for this season kind of had to switch after seeing all the Tuskens die.
Yeah.
At least theoretically all the Tuskens die. So, new theory. Because also in this episode we see yet another, I get in the back to tank, I have a vision, blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
Back to tank keeps showing up.
Yeah.
And he's in it all the time.
Yes.
Practically. So to me, what that's suggesting is he's got some kind of serious long-term health effects from this time in the Starlight Pit. I feel like so I think maybe he's dying. Just throwing this out there. That maybe this thing is like he has his purpose. We're like, why does he take over? What is his whole agenda? Maybe it's to, because this whole gang structure is what doomed the Tuskens.
Yeah.
He's trying to take it down from the inside. That his final act of vengeance, avenge his fallen brethren by taking down the whole gang structure before he dies. I don't know, just throwing that out there.
Interesting. Are you then suggesting that he will ultimately succumb? Is that the end of the series?
I checked actually to see if there is a season 2 scheduled. There is.
Well, they wouldn't announce it before they typically don't announce season 2 before the end of the season.
It would have just been cutting against the theory if there was, right? It's like, oh yeah, he's coming back for season. Oh, okay,
and
maybe he
in
doesn't
theory,
die.
I feel like even if you weren't going to have a long series, you might at least have a few seasons.
Oh, I see what you mean. So even if he was going to die, he probably maybe not die at the end of the season. Maybe it's like he announces, I'm dying, and then so if there's a season 2, we see. I don't know. I was thinking perhaps, though, if you wanted to have just a mini-series, episode 7, he accomplishes his mission, mentions that it was on behalf of the Tuskens and dies. But anyway.
And what gives the charge to Fennec?
Perhaps, yeah. That sounds like perhaps a way that goes. It does remind me a little bit of a movie that's not really the best comparison because it's not a good movie, but the old movie, I think it was Bruce Willis, Last Man Standing.
Oh,
you ever seen this movie? It's like this
no.
Guy shows up into like a Prohibition era town, everybody dies, and all the gangs fight each other, and at the end there's no more gangs. But what's notable about that movie is it was so bad that a good buddy of mine, Danny, went to see it at the Dollar Theater.
Sure.
Walked out after an hour or so and demanded his dollar back. And he got it back. He actually had it. Just leave us alone. So he got his dollar back at the Dollar Theater because of Last Man Standing. So I can imagine that perhaps his idea is to pit the gangs against each other and then, in the wreckage of that, have a better order show up. Yeah, if you guys out there have theories for now that you've seen this major plot development of, his close family have been killed off by either the Spiker gang or the Pikes, but a gang.
Yes.
How does that inform the rest of the season? Obviously, he's announced he's going to war with the Pikes. The Pikes are showing up.
Yeah, I've heard some people commenting, and I think I agree that having that as a motivating factor is a little disappointing. It's like certainly it's not great to be living in a group on Tatooine because someone can just come along and kill you and your whole family while you're out getting groceries. So it's unfortunate that that's how they want to motivate him. We don't know how long it is between that event and the beginning of this series, or I should say the events that we saw in The Mandalorian. We don't know how long that was. It would have been nice if he had a community, the
I agree. There were a lot of ways that could have helped inform his character, and it would be some fun story arcs that could have come out of that. And for them to cut it off that quickly, they basically fridged his whole community.
Yes.
Wow, I've made a life with. Oh, they're dead.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow. Okay. So yeah, I'd rather them not just be a plot device. I'd rather, yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah, I was actually getting interested. Like, are we gonna see them take off some of those pieces and see what's going
Yep.
on, or take off those hoods so we can actually learn more about them?
learning more about their culture, or also the fact that there are these different tribes. So, like,
Right.
okay, what's the difference between this tribe and the one that's 10 miles, to the west?
Yeah, and that's
Oh, okay.
unfortunately, like, the audience might disagree. But it's
Yeah,
one of the
yeah.
problems I have with Star Wars, which there are all these sort of creatures and things that they don't do a especially good job of really getting a sense of the alienness of these creatures. It's just groups, and now they're dead, so I guess we don't have to learn. It's just just discouraging.
Like, it kind of minimizes their impact in some ways, or their
Yeah.
Maybe somebody survived. Maybe, as you say, maybe he made friends with other tribes, and those tribes will join, or who knows? But so
We don't know.
We'll wait. But for now, it does seem on the surface like they brought them up so they could kill him to give him a purpose to go and take down the Pikes.
Yeah.
But like, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good sir.
Sure.
We'll be back talking about the series finale, of The Expanse. And then we'll be back, obviously, talking about more of the Book of Boba Fett. So, thanks, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.